on him. Hiranyakashipu even threw young Prahlad into a pit of poisonous snakes. But when Prahlad began to chant Vishnu's name, instead of biting him, the snakes started to dance. Hiranyakashipu was exhausted from trying to kill his son. Nothing worked. He then remembered something. His evil-hearted sister, Holka, had been guaranteed a gift that she could never be harmed by fire. So Hiranyakashipu arranged for Holika to sit on a wooden pyre with his son on her lap and ordered it to be set alight. This is one determined evil demon king. The flames rushed up, and Hiranyakashipu laughed as he believed that Prahlad would finally be killed. But Vishnu transferred Holika's gift to Prahlad, who emerged from the flames without a single burn, while Holika was reduced to ashes. Vishnu was enraged with Hiranyakashipu for trying to kill his devotee. Many of the other gods were also troubled by the demon king's evil ways, but they were unable to do anything because of the gift he'd received. Vishnu waited until it was dusk and emerged as a half-human, half-animal. He dragged Hiranyakashipu up the stairs of the castle and killed him in the doorway, where it would be neither inside nor outside, neither on the ground or in the sky. And Vishnu had waited till dusk. It was neither day nor night. He satisfied all of the conditions of the gift, and the evil demon king had to die. And the people of the kingdom rejoiced. They were finally free from the fear he had spread. And ever since that time, in order to celebrate and mark the victory of good over evil, people in India light a bonfire, which is named Holi, after the evil Holika, who burned in the fire. And the happiness that the people felt in being free from the demon king's fear is celebrated with the joy of colors. The festival of Holi also marks the start of spring and farewell to winter. Farmers celebrate their harvest in some parts of the country with this festival, and children all over the country enjoy the colors and the water games. So when you see videos about people celebrating Holi, this is the story that they are celebrating. It's the time in our service when we do our offering, and as always, the offering words are offered with some levity because giving shouldn't hurt. Bent over and obviously in deep pain, a man with a cane hobbled laboriously and slowly up the church steps and through the door. The crossing guard on the corner watched him and shook her head at how pitiful he looked. 10 minutes later, the man came out, walking boldly upright and moving with grace and speed. "Good gracious," the crossing guard called out. "Are you an evangelical? Did the pastor heal you by faith or laying on of hands? I saw you walk in, and look at you now." "Oh no," the man said with a smile, "I'm a Unitarian. She gave me a cane that wasn't 6 inches too short and a new pair of gym shoes." So that we too can continue to help the world in simple ways. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you all so much for these gifts and for everything that you do for the life and the work of this community. Because the church isn't about the building, but the people, and we're here as a community of human hands and human hearts, and we come together to share our laughter and our tears. We're entering into a time of sharing our joys and concerns. You can raise a hand, and I believe Marcia is going to bring you a microphone. At any time before or during the service except for this, you can come up yourself and light a candle over on the candle table. During Joys and Concerns, I light them for you. So please feel free, raise a hand, and Marcia will bring you a mic.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, I'm John Van Camp, and at some level I'm celebrating being here, but I'm also celebrating that for 5 days I was walking through Utah national parks with my grandkids. And there's an image that I want to give to everyone. There, some places where we were walking, it was so steep. My son-in-law was pushing me from the back, and my daughter was pulling me from the top. But I made it up that mountain and whatever. But it was also because I was there that I didn't get an announcement out in time. The Justice Social that we've had in the past is going to be this Wednesday at Hotel Venezia, and something special is going to be there. Xander Moritz, who many of you heard at the Right to Read Festival, is going to be there and talk about what's happening at the school board. So this Wednesday, 4 to 6 at Hotel Venezia.
And then go to the campfire.
I'm Pat Wellington, and I'm bearing a message from Jean Barlow to everyone here. She asked me to let you know that she misses you all. She is the one who ran our trip on the Caribbean a couple of weeks ago, and she has COVID as well as shingles. But she said she's feeling somewhat better. So hello, Jean, up there in online land. We love you.
Good morning, I'm Marcia Zurich. I want to extend a hearty, warm thank you to the members of the care team, Olga Hebert and Sally Erb, who came to help me out to organize my rental house, and to my wonderful daughter, Aspen, who's down from Rochester, New York, to help me finish organizing the house that was destroyed by Ian that we're finally selling.
I'm Dave Lyon, and yesterday, Cheryl and I celebrated 60 years of marriage. So I said, where do you want to go? And so she thought and said, the Salty Dog. So we got our favorite hot dog. She always was kind of a cheap date. So we decided we're going to go for 60 more. So what the heck?
I just wanted to say that a friend of ours, Mel O'Donnell, has pneumonia, and she's had it for 2 weeks, and I'm really worried about her.
May the love of this community hold everyone who needs love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we're needed. May those who are grieving be comforted, and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading is from Holi Festival, Spreading Cheers and Colors Around the World, from Day Translations. Holi, for the Hindus, signifies the arrival of spring and therefore new beginnings. The festival is one of the most celebrated and revered events in India, where some people call it the Festival of Love, because it's a tradition to forget bad feelings and resentment toward other people. The festival's first evening is called Choti Holi, or Holika Dahan, while the next day is the time for Holi, Rangwali Holi celebration. Rituals and prayers to remove evil are performed during Holika Dahan with people sitting around bonfires. It is a significant night as well, as it commemorates the triumph of good over evil. Aside from the legends and spring's arrival, Holi is believed to be a reenactment of the game that Lord Krishna, a Hindu god, and Radha, his consort, played together with their milkmaids or gopis. Typically, local festivals are surrounded by myths and legends, and India, which definitely has myths to spare, is no exception. You might be wondering why colored powders are thrown or smeared on people's faces during Holi. It has a correlation with Lord Krishna, whose skin was dark or black, which is the meaning of Krishna. But the god is often depicted with bluish skin, which is said to be due to drinking milk poisoned by a devil when he was a baby. The tradition of smearing colored powder is also based on a legend, telling the story of Lord Krishna's mother using colored powder to change the color of his skin because he was always complaining about his skin being different from Radha's complexion. 4 main colors are typically used for the powders, with meanings attached to each color. Blue represents the color of Lord Krishna. Yellow represents turmeric, which is used in many religious ceremonies. Green is the symbol for new beginnings and spring, which typically represents the season when plants start to bloom. Red is for fertility and love. These colors have associations with Indian culture as well. Green is an auspicious color for married women. Widows in India do not wear green. Blue or indigo used to be extensively produced in India. Turmeric, or the yellow color, is associated with the sun, luck, and fertility. In Hindu weddings, the turmeric paste is applied to the face and the body of the bride and groom to purify them. It is also to bless them with prosperity and fertility. Aside from the traditional significance, the scent of the turmeric helps them to relax and remove their nervousness. The dried rhizome is said to protect the wearer from evil. Turmeric is associated with Hindu religious ceremonies, as it is a symbol of inner pride and inner purity. In Buddhism, it is a symbol of generosity. Yellow is also associated with the merchants, which is the 3rd class in India's caste system. It is also a representation of Lord Vishnu as a weaver, who is said to have woven the sun's rays for his personal clothing. More colors are used today. Pink has become a dominant color during Holi. The color represents compassion and caring. Purple powder is also used, which represents mystery and magic. The various colors of Holi are a reflection of India's diversity and its rich culture and traditions, which can be seen in its art, architecture, textiles, jewelry, and more. When you join the celebration, you become one with everyone else. You will look like the other people joining the celebration. The color of your skin does not matter, because like everyone else, you will be covered in various colors. Religion, social class, and economic status are forgotten during Holi. Our meditation today is from a Holika Dahan by an anonymous author. Right in the center of crimson blaze sits Holika, Prahlad in her lap, her arms a circle of heat. White sparks fly from her hair. Eyes smolder in fury. Her mouth sucks in air, engulfs rice and wheat. Wood chars, coconuts splinter. Flowers singe, smearing earth with ash. Year after year, faith survives. Our second reading is from Holi, Gender Dynamics and the Festival of Colors in Northern India by C.D. Bhandari. Holi is the Hindu festival of colors, one of Indian subcontinent's more famous holidays. The manner in which the festival is observed varies from region to region, but whatever its beginnings, the celebrations of Holi have by and large come to have clear sexual intonations with men at the forefront. The festival has become associated with drunkenness, street harassment, and sleaze in northern parts of India in particular. There are police advisories against drunken driving and harassment in light of the high number of arrests that have been made on this particular day in the past. Yet in the midst of such countrywide issues, the celebrations of Holi in one region stand out in stark contrast. While gender norms in India are highly tilted in favor of males, the experience of Holi celebrations in a village in Kumaon put the women at the forefront. This facet of Holi is often overlooked in scholarship and media, how in certain parts of the country this assumed androcentric practice is turned on its head. In the Indian context, a village does not merely denote a small cluster of houses in rural surroundings with a small population. In this village, most of the households are connected to each other by way of kinship networks or belonging to the same extended clan. Holi is also a celebration of the interconnectedness of this world and the other world. Though the sacred is invoked, the religious dimension of this festival is nearly invisible. People with different religious beliefs partake in, if not the festivities, then at least the savories, usually offered by friends and neighbors. Here in Qumran, Holi has become more of a music festival that lasts most of the spring season, with women, both young and old, taking the lead. The women have paved the way to make this festival equally participatory for them, often taking over conventional spaces like the village temples or the verandas of their own homes. They are often lively and social, meeting and greeting each other by exchanging side hugs called the Holi Milan, followed or preceded by the exchange and application of colors. The local culture and tradition has enabled this change, as the women are seen to be equally or more participative in domestic as well as external chores. It is not only during these festivities that women are able to come out of the home and feel empowered, nor do I believe that the women see it as empowerment either. In fact, this is just as much a normal part of life to them as the sexually overt celebrations of Holi in other parts of India. While what these women have been able to accomplish can and should be admired, it is important to not read a message of defiance into this practice. Women-centered Holi celebrations have, over time, come to be part of tradition in this particular village, not resistance. So much so that these village women did not see themselves or this as an aberration from what the norm in the country is. They thought that every village celebrated Holi as they do. Interestingly, newcomers to the village were often shy about taking part in the festivities and had to be coerced by other older women who had been in the village longer to become comfortable enough to freely participate and celebrate in this manner. The seeming empowerment of women in the region, however, is not altogether a sign of progressive attitudes or changing times. It must be noted that their involvement in day-to-day or economic activities is often a necessity rather than a privilege. The women find themselves in situations where, to feed and provide for the family, they cannot rely on the men. They have to be more involved and take the lead by working in the fields, taking up employment in the electrical factory, all the while performing the daily domestic duties. Yet while the Holi festival continues, these women are able to find time to celebrate with one another. With dancing, eating, music, the application of color, and even a relaxing catch-up, the women carry on the festival until they are visibly exhausted. The final day of the festival is celebrated outdoors, with snacks bought from pooled money shared between everyone present, until just after noon, when the women return to their respective homes. Our next hymn is number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
I'm awake now. So there are two images I kind of want you to hold in your mind as you're sitting there. So if you're ready for this, two images. And the first one is from The Wizard of Oz. Now, how many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz, the original movie? Okay, so most of you. And the moment I want you to think about in The Wizard of Oz movie is this one. Dorothy and her dog Toto spin around and around in the farmhouse in the tornado, and the film is in a sepia-toned black and white, and they land, and she opens the door into a Technicolor world. And the colors are so bright that they almost glow. And for most people in 1939, this was the first color film they had ever seen. So let's take just a minute, if you all are ready back there, and let's look at that clip. It's just about 1.5 minutes long. It's all that lovely sepia color. Guys, I'm going to turn off my mic and go with just the podium mic. And here is Dorothy. And the whole world is suddenly in Technicolor. And I don't know about you, but I remember the first time I saw this and saw those golden bricks. And I was amazed at how bright they looked. And when you're confronted suddenly with this much color, all the colors of a beautiful spring field of flowers and birds, it can be a moment of deep joy for many people. It feels alive. It feels vibrant. It feels like the earth has woken up. You can almost smell the flowers in the air. Now we're going to look at one more image, and it's a still image, and this is from 9/11, 2001. An AP stringer named Gulnara Samilova shot this image. Some of you may have seen it at the time. Covered in gray ash and powder, all people are alike. Just for a moment, no one's clothing is more impressive. No one has better makeup or nicer shoes. Everyone's hair is matted. Just for a moment, even the actual skin colors vanish under what has been painted on. Whether it is grief or joy, just for a moment, we are all the same. For me, these two different images capture a part of Holi's message that resonates for those of us not as culturally familiar with this holiday. The pure joy of blazing color is the victory of life over death and love over hate, good over evil, feast over famine. Some areas believe the combinations of different colors at this festival take all sorrow away, make life itself more colorful. It reminds us that what is broken can be fixed again, like a withering plant regrowing in the spring. And the messiness and the coating, on the other hand, well, they're a great leveler. Wikipedia says that in addition to the throne-colored powder, water guns and water balloons are also used to play and color each other, and anyone and everyone is fair game. Friend or stranger, rich or poor, any gender, children or elders. The frolic and fight with the colors occurs in the open streets and the parks and outside and inside temples and buildings. Groups carry drums and other musical instruments. They go from place to place and they sing and they dance. People visit family and friends and even foes. They come together to throw colored powders on one another, to laugh and gossip and to eat together. It's much harder to hate someone when you've just tossed a bunch of purple powder on them and they're giggling like a loon. In Mumbai, India, Holi was celebrated with such exuberance that people of all castes could throw color on the emperor. Because let's face it, we're all in this messy life together. We're here for all the good and bad. No one escapes being the person with the smudge on their face or their zipper down at some point. No one comes into this life without an act of creation, and we all have to leave at some point. So this holiday says, you know what? Why not celebrate together? Holi is mainly a Hindu holiday, but it's celebrated in other parts of Asia and anywhere in the Western world where there's a large population of the Indian diaspora. The events are all open to anyone present. Sikhs, Jains, and some Buddhists also celebrate this holiday. As for the holiday itself, it's actually more like 5 holidays bundled together in a big trench coat. No two places celebrating Holi may be doing it for the same reason. Some use the traditional Vishnu story that I talked about during the children's chapel time this morning. Some say it celebrates the love story of Radha and Krishna. Others believe it marks the time the goddess Parvati wanted to bring Shiva back to the world with the help of the love god. For some, it's just the beginning of spring. For a few others, it's a 3-day festival of martial arts. So this is an all-purpose holiday. Holi wears 1,000 faces. When Dorothy and Toto step out into the Technicolor world, when they step through that threshold of that house, they're entering a world filled with new possibilities. Baptist theologian Nancy Petty writes in a piece called Liminal Space, The Threshold of Hope, liminal is not a familiar word to most of us. It comes from the Latin word limen, meaning threshold, placed between 2 different spaces, and it's most often characterized by ambiguity as well as openness. It's characterized as a period of transition where normal limits to thought and self-understanding and behavior are relaxed. The mind becomes open to new possibilities and new perspectives. Some people talk about twilight as being a liminal time, the time between day and night, the middle ground between light and shadow. In science, there's an actual zone observable from space in the place where daylight or shadow advances or retreats around the Earth. We call it the twilight zone, but it's known to scientists as liminal space. Noon and midnight are liminal, the first transitioning between morning and afternoon, the later between one day and the next. Another example is the in-between time when someone wakes up from dream sleep and is unable to tell if a vaguely recalled dream actually occurred. Now, for any of you who've ever traveled to Scotland and England, if you've taken the time to visit the island of Iona, you may have heard the folks there talk about liminal space as a thin place between the ordinary and the sacred. Liz Bud Elman writes, Iona is also called a thin place. Thin place is a place where the boundary between heaven and earth, as it were, is especially thin, a place where we can sense the divine more readily. An old Celtic expression says that heaven and earth are only 3 feet apart, but in thin places the distance is even shorter. A thin place is where 2 worlds meet, where heaven kisses earth and eternal time brushes ordinary time. I love that idea. Some people talk about experiencing this thin place while standing among the ruins in Iona, but you don't have to go there to experience it. All of us have moments when we know we're standing at a threshold, a thin place. We're faced with the decision of whether or not to step into the unknown and the unfamiliar and risk discovering the other side or stay where we are. Holi is a holiday about being open to the possibilities of liminal space. Now, are all the possibilities good? Of course not. Dorothy steps out only to realize she can be killed by the Wicked Witch of the West. She can be put to sleep forever by the field of poppies she finds. In the real world, on the real holiday of Holi, women complain about being sexually harassed in some parts of India, physically assaulted. Some men hide behind the anonymity of being covered by the colored powder. But nevertheless, the good remains. In the children's story we heard this morning, Vishnu was upset with this demon king trying to kill his worshiper. All the other gods were upset with him, but they couldn't do anything because he'd been granted this ability not to be killed. So Vishnu waited until dusk, emerged as what we would call today a werewolf, half human, half animal. He beat the conditions. It made me think of the Lord of the Rings movie, when one of the deep villains says, I can be killed by no man, and the woman who has just swung the sword says, I am no man, and beheads him. Vishnu waited until all the conditions were right, stepped into liminal space and killed a demon king. Vishnu chose new possibilities. When no answer would work, he had hope and he looked for new answers. He woke up to new ideas, and you can too. Now, you don't have to celebrate this holiday if you don't choose to, but you can still seize the ideas. Maybe you've been wanting to try run walking a 5K, but you're afraid to look silly or too sweaty or too slow. Do a Holi color run or a Halloween costume run when everybody looks ridiculous and people are having too much fun to care and you're just one more purple person in a crowd of them. Have a problem and none of the answers work? Take a page from Vishnu's book. Look for the liminal answers that no one's pointed out yet. Holi says you are good enough just as you are, and you can start again and you can try again. It says you can fix the problem, end the fight, no big deal. It says you can go halfway there. No matter how bad the mistakes you've made, spring is going to come, and everybody else has screwed up this year too. You're not the only one with egg on your face, dragging the toilet paper behind your shoe. We're all in this together. And you can make choices about what you do. You don't have to keep making the mistake because you spent a lot of time or money making them in the first place. You can put it down, whatever the unbearable burden you've been handed and come to hate. Step through the door in your mind and into a new space. Refuse to accept common answers. We are all just messy human people who are born and die, and we are built to experience vibrant life in between. So open the door and step out into the Technicolor. Amen. We extinguish our chalice and we carry the brilliant colors of our lives into the waiting world as a swirling lamp of joy and of hope. Now I'm going to ask this. How many of you have ever sung the song De Colores? Okay. We're going to give it a shot. I am treading bravely. So we're going to do the 3 verses and we're going to try the Spanish verse. So hang in there with us. All right, Lisa, take it away. May Holi bring a rainbow of colors into the world to mix the separated and to bring joy. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.